welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined as always by fellow host Johnny Paulus. Johnny, welcome in. How are you doing this fine week, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Enjoying lots of TV. Mandalorian season 3, I think, stuck the landing. I was a little disappointed in kind of the middle of the season, but the finale pulled it off. And then I'm very happy that Marvelous Miss Maisel is back. It's actually one of my favorite shows on TV. It's so good.
What the fuck was it called?
It's called Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It is about a female comic back in the 50s trying to break through the mostly male-dominated stand-up world. And the cast is great. The show is fucking god tier. It's really, 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 really good. I normally don't go for period pieces either.
We've been working on finishing Andor. We're getting close. I'm getting close to finishing watching it with you, rather, is the right way to put it.
We can
two more episodes.
We do it tonight. Finish the podcast and come on over.
It's
only 2 episodes. Why not?
Yeah, I probably have a permission slip that'll still fly. We'll talk about that, yeah.
I have some White Claw iced teas for you. They're actually really good.
Good God. Good God almighty.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, Andor I've been enjoying. I think it's good. It's not bad. Good. And that's a good thing because it's Star Wars and it's something I don't fucking hate. I actually was discussing how to fix Star Wars very easily with just an eraser. If you erase episode 2, right?
Yeah.
Just whoosh, that's gone.
Yep.
You erase Solo, whoosh, that's gone.
Yep. Okay.
You keep Andor.
Yes.
In place of episode 2, which you deleted, you keep the Clone Wars cartoons.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. You keep Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Then you keep episodes 4 through 6.
Yep, obviously.
And then you keep The Mandalorian. And you literally throw out every fucking thing else.
I'm a little bit more of a sequel apologist. I really like episode 7 and 8. I fucking hate episode 9 though. I think it might be my least favorite.
That's why you
Star
just
Wars
gotta throw them all out, dude. Baby with the bathwater. Just whoosh,
no. I'm gonna hold out hope. See, here's the thing. AI technology is getting really, really good. Fast forward about 2-3 years from now, between AI and deepfake, they're going to be able to take the original script, which if you haven't read the original script for episode 9, you should.
Johnny, I will never in my life read the original script for episode 9.
Colin Trevorrow's original version of episode 9 was called Star Wars Duel of the Fates. And it carried on from where Rian Johnson left it, instead of saying, we're going to just crumple that up and throw it in the trash and retcon all of what you just saw in that last movie now. And the original episode 9 would have been god tier. So I'm just going to wait till they can remake it with AI, and then that will be my in-canon episode 9, which it already is my in-canon episode 9. I read the script, and that's what's here. That movie that I saw in the theaters, that was just a fever dream. It didn't happen.
See, I would rather them just throw the whole fucking thing out. And then, because what they're doing in Mandalorian is they're setting up Heir to the Empire.
Yes.
The Timothy Zahn book series, which
100%.
was the original post-episode 6 canon.
Yes.
So just fucking throw them out. 7, 8, 9, just cool story, bro, but whoosh, gone. And stick to the Timothy Zahn fucking god tier trilogy. Just go with that. It was already amazing.
That's what's so smart about The Mandalorian is there's that huge gap that until now was just a dead space. I mean, it was like, they blow up the second Death Star and then nothing happens for 30 years and then The Force Awakens happens. They have this huge gap where there's no stories. And they can kind of really do anything as long as it's like...
except the Puppet Emperor is going to pop back up at the end.
Somehow Palpatine returned, indeed.
Because nobody dies. Everybody's got plot armor.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars. See, they just need to throw it out. Just start over. It's fine. It's all good.
Well, that's why I'm excited about the big Star Wars thing that they did about a year ago. I think it was about a year or two ago. Disney pulled together all these creators, comic book writers, novelists, got them all together and said, okay, here's an era of Star Wars that we've never written about ever, completely untouched canon. Everybody knows the Old Republic. That's 1,000 years before, A New Hope. We're going to do the High Republic, which is 500 years before the original Star Wars. So here's this whole new zone of Star Wars that has never been touched before. And the reason why they got all these writers together is so they could they hashed it out like all together, all the writers in a room. And then this would lead to that. And then this would lead to that. So they have like this pipeline, and they've been releasing all these books and releasing all these graphic novels to try to build this other part of the universe that they've never touched before. And that's what I think Star Wars needs. It needs just no more Skywalker, no more Palpatine, no more Kenobi.
The problem I have with High Republic era is it is that still. Because Yoda's alive.
Yoda's alive. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't mind more Yoda stories.
Okay. Yeah, it just ties in too much. I want more X-Wings and TIE fighters. That's what I want. I want less space wizards and bullshit.
It is kind of a bummer that the Rogue Squadron movie sort of just lost all its steam.
Dude, what a killer that would make it. Fuck the movie. Make that a series.
I agree.
That'd be awesome. But my old Star Wars fandom. I stare longingly at my copies of X-Wing and TIE Fighter, X-Wing v TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance, and everyone knows the thing I care about the most in Star Wars is Imperial fucking starships, because that is where it's at. I digress. We have new Star Wars stuff coming out that looks sick soon. We're going to talk about that here in a minute.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It is episode 114 of your Power Gamer podcast. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for stopping by once again, as many of you do every week. Please continue your support. I will continue as judiciously as possible uploading these videos to YouTube. If you are listening to us on Spotify or iTunes, as many of you do, we would greatly appreciate if you took a few moments to give us a nice little 5-star rating.
Please, that would be great.
I don't care if you hate the show, just 5 stars, please. Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. If you could say it's 5 stars of dog shit. I'm fine with that. But regardless, welcome in. We're going to begin this week's show, as we always do, by first discussing what we've been playing this week. Johnny, who should start? You or me?
I'll go first. I don't have much to go over. I'm kind of in the same boat as I was last week. Unfortunately, I'm working on some big games. So Hogwarts Legacy. Let's see what's new this week in Hogwarts Legacy. I made the best decision I've ever made in the game, which is I went to this random shop, and the shopkeeper had like 3 items for sale, and one of them said family heirloom broom, and it was really expensive. But I just happened to have a lot of money and was like, it's probably just a cosmetic, but I've got the money. What the fuck? Let's do this thing. And the moment I get on this broom, it feels like it's twice the speed of any of the other brooms that I have. So the moment I got this broom, I'm knocking out side quests. I'm wiping shit off the map because it's so fast. It's like, boom, do this trial, back on the broom, zoom, 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 get to the next spot. Like, I'm just dotting the map fast as hell. So that's awesome. And then the more I play this game, the more I have to ask the question, how the fuck are they going to make this game work on the Nintendo Switch? The effects that happen in this game, the way that things disassemble and reassemble, the physics-based stuff when I take a gigantic spider boss and I levitate him up in the air and I throw him against the wall, and the stone pillar next to him crumbles in real physics effects. I really am wondering how it's going to. I mean, I know obviously the easy answer is, well, they're just going to lower the frame rate and lower the. No, I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't know how they're going to make this game work on the Switch.
It's going to be drastically different. I mean, now, bear in mind, right? The Switch version is coming much later in the development cycle in terms of release. So you're right. It wouldn't be that if it was just as simple as you were going to get the same product ported over. It's not going to be the same product. Okay?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a lot like something we've forgotten about, which is when games used to come to the Wii, right?
Yep.
And you'd get like Call of Duty bullshit edition.
Yeah.
Versus like what everyone else got. Because like World at War came out on the Wii, dude. That was a 360 game that came out on hardware that was inferior to the original Xbox, basically.
Yeah.
So these kind of things have been done. I think it's going to have a completely separate set of textures.
Yeah.
I think the draw distances are all going to be wildly different.
The draw distance is going to be massively different. Yeah, that has to change.
Frame rate's going to maybe live around 30, something like that.
I think more like 20s.
But I think it'll work on the Switch. I mean, the Switch isn't a complete dog at this point.
No, and
it's a PS4 though, basically under the hood.
I know I keep raving about this game, but like this so far, this is my game of the year. I mean, I know we got Jedi Survivor coming out in 4 days, but
like
this game's really fucking great.
If you look at footage, Horizon Forbidden West is the best looking video game of all time. Period. Like full stop. There's no video game that currently exists that is out that runs as well or looks as good cumulatively as Horizon Forbidden West.
I would argue Ratchet and Clank, but that has a stylistic advantage.
Yeah. So let's agree on Horizon. I mean, it's really tough to fight that one. If you want to get nitpicky with some PC shit, you could. Right. But Forbidden West basically is the best looking video game that's ever come out on a system. It runs on PS4, and if you look at the PS4 version of that game, yeah, it's pretty fucking different, but it still looks good. It still works. Yeah. It's running at 30, but it's okay. So I think, if we kind of keep that kind of contrast in mind, remember the pre-release trailers that we were watching of Hogwarts, and they were all like locked at 30 and like looked really kind of jarring and shit.
Yeah.
Has that been your gameplay experience? It will be if you play it on Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because even like a month beforehand, they were releasing gameplay trailers where the shit was locked at 30 and it looked kind of rough.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any issue with it looking rough or anything like that. I found it runs very smooth. It runs very well.
You're on a PS5 with it?
PS5, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. Also been playing Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. I added another person to our team. She's another rabbit, another new character to the series. I don't remember her name, but she's hilarious. She's the rabbit version of who's the other princess? Rosalina?
Rosalina, yeah.
Okay. So she's the rabbit Rosalina, and she's emo as fuck. She has the hair like this over her face, like blocks half of her face. And everything that happens, she's just like, whatever. All right, fine. I guess I'll come with you guys. So she cracks me up. But her special ability is she can put characters to sleep for a turn, which is really, really handy. So Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope still fucking blowing my mind. Again, strong recommend. And other than that, I'm really trying to push to Infinite on Marvel Snap. I think I've finally figured out my deck. I got enough tokens this week to buy Ghost, and Ghost is an ongoing card. She's a 1-cost 2 power, and her ongoing ability is your on reveals always reveal last. and I have put her into a Thanos control deck. So I have Sarah, I have Enchantress, I have Shang-Chi, and the basic concept with the deck is I have a bunch of destroy cards, so I'm trying to shred through the gems. So I have Killmonger and I have Carnage, and I'm doing all of that to try to get the cost of She-Hulk down. So in a perfect world, by turn 5, I've got Ghost out, I've got Sarah out, and turn 6, I'm able to play either a free or a really cheap death, and then play Shang-Chi or Enchantress, and regardless of priority, sorry for people that have never played Marvel Snap, my card will always reveal last. So if I know they're going to put a big fat card in the middle lane, I can just play my card and it will reveal last regardless of priority. And that deck I've climbed from 73 to 86 in one day.
Nice. Yeah, I'm at about 68 this season, which for me being like the ultra casual that barely plays the game,
right,
tells you just how much I've been winning.
Yeah, that's great.
With and that's playing the my Scroll Patriot deck. Super Scroll Patriot
Can't
deck.
go wrong with a good Patriot deck.
He just fucks over everyone, and it's hilarious.
Well, and the Super Scroll is the perfect card where if they have any ongoing cards and they don't know you have that,
nobody understands how that card fucking works
dude,
either.
They have no idea. I know. The amount of times I've seen somebody like put down a Devil Dino and you play your Super Scroll, and then the next turn they put down an Iron Man or something. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
I had somebody literally wave Devil Dinosaur and then Iron Man T5 and then played Mystique T6.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and I just, I'm sitting at like 500 score on a frame. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You're just helping me.
I had a round that went similar to that. It was the Sinister London, where when you play a card, it makes a copy.
Oh yeah,
It was the exact same thing, but in this case, it was they had double Devil Dino, double Iron Man, double. I mean, I had like 2,000 power at each lane. It was insane.
Yeah, and I'll often, if they are playing ongoing cards, I will Mystique my Scroll.
Yes,
and it's just dumb. So, very good, sir. All right, I've got a little bit more on the plate for you. So put on your bibs, get out your fork and knife, and let's dig in here.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this
one. Well, first we're going to talk about Dead Island. So Dead Island 2 came out this week, and it looks fucking great, by the way. It looks really good. I've watched Mickey do some streams of it, and it looks fucking fantastic. So before it came out, I was like, you know what? With this new game kind of reviewing well and looking good, I better play the first Dead Island or I'm never going to want to touch it. So me and Grumpy have been working on Dead Island co-op. And yeah, in a few days we're already about halfway through the campaign. And you know, this is the Dead Island that was made by Techland. So the same people that went on to do Dying Light and Dying Light 2.
Yep.
So you see a lot of Dying Light in Dead Island, except Dying Light is a game about your ability to get away from zombies using your parkour, using traps, and the whole day-night cycle. That's Dying Light, and really what makes that game fantastic. Yep. Dead Island removes everything that's fantastic about Dying Light, except for the melee combat. And basically you don't run from zombies in this game. Like, you kind of can run from zombies, but like you don't run from zombies. You just fuck the zombies up in Dead Island, which is fun. And I chose the throwing weapons specialist. So basically I've got a set of brass knuckles that paralyze the zombies when I punch them. And then I have a coat full of like 9 different throwing knives that all do different shit, and just throw knives, run run up and collect. And it's really fun class. So, yeah, the old Dead Island, it holds up well. So for like $5, you can buy the definitive edition on your Xbox Series X or S. You cannot take your Dead Island disc and throw it into your Xbox Series X and have it work. It is not a backwards compatible game.
That sucks.
But $5, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, $5. Who cares? Yep, agreed.
And it runs so much better than the old 360 version. The 360 version of that game runs like an absolute fucking pile of shit. So yeah, if you want to clear this game, it's still good. It still holds up. It's funny. It's well done. It's $5. So itching to play something with a friend online, you can still do that with Dead Island very cheaply. And that gives you Dead Island and the big expansion game, Dead Island Riptide.
Yep. Cool. That's cool.
So yeah, the idea with this is once that is finished, then we can hop into Dead Island 2 proper. Next up, I want to talk about Harvestella. This game's kind of been an up and down ride for me, and the up has just been nonstop since I came back to the game. So here's some notes I want to make about Harvestella. Note number 1. The game's fucking long. Okay, if you sign up to play Harvestella, you're signing up for 70 hours minimum. It's a big boy.
Yep.
Number 2, the first like real quest you go on that deals with the 4 seasons, you'll know what I'm talking about when you get there, is a drag, and it feels like it could be the entire game. If you push through that part of it, where you complete something for each one of the 4 seasons, the game opens up, flips upside down, reveals what's actually going on, and it's been a holy shit like rocket ride for the past 30 hours of this game.
Nice.
That's just really good. And I think what had happened is a lot of people got into this game and didn't break out of that part. Because, like, so many JRPGs, it's like, well, the game doesn't really start until you're 30 hours in. And that is the case with Harvestella to the max. Yeah. The game really doesn't start until... And you'll know it when you see it if you decide to play this game. It's just sort of like letting you get your feet wet, letting you do the farming thing, doing some easy quests and stuff. But I mean, even the combat opens up so much, and you're like, wow, there's actually like a really complex action RPG combat system buried in this game, and it's really strange, like when it all happens, because it takes a long time to get there. But once it does, it's great. So I'm on chapter 7 of 9 presently, so I'm getting close to the end.
Sounds like you might take that one down this week.
It's possible. I've been playing it in big chunks too lately, so
right.
Harvestella, pretty good, and yeah, it got review bombed for some reason on Metacritic. Well, at least on the user side, it got review bombs for some reason.
I wonder where that is. Maybe because of the console exclusivity.
Well, it's on console and Steam. So
no, but I mean, I don't think it's on PlayStation. I think it's just Switch and PC.
Yeah, and the Switch version of it runs fine. Runs great. So I don't know. I don't care what people think. People are fucking idiots. So it's good. I like it.
I'm just saying that would be my theory. You know, the Sony fanboy that wants to play his JRPG and
like being
is angry that it's not on his console.
Being honest about the game, like once I get to the point of completion, regardless of I think what the story does at this point, the best this game is going to hope to get for me is like a 7.5.
Right.
Like it's that kind of game, but it's good. So
right.
I digress.
Well, if it's keeping you entertained for that amount of time,
I love the juxtaposition of the farming thing and the quest. It's really good. God of War Ragnarok. Mike Dawson has finally completed God of War Ragnarok. I decided to just kind of put my head down and get back into this damn thing because I've been sort of stalemated for a while with this game. And it is done. I have beat God of War Ragnarok. Johnny is, of course, curious as to what my final comments on this game are going to be.
Desperately curious.
Now, Johnny did have an advantage where he could go into our completed games list and have seen what I already scored the game. But if that did not already happen, I will start off by appeasing Mr. Paulus, letting him know that I rate the game at a 9, which is higher than I expected. Let me first off say that has really a lot to do with the presentation of the game and the story of the game.
Yes.
Let's start with the bad so I can end on a high note with the good. The bad is still that it's the combat just feels samey. I don't know how you played the game, but the way that I play this game and the way that I played the first game was completely based around the broken relic abilities. In God of War in 2018 and the current God of War game, your weapons, which I won't say too much because there's some things I don't want to disclose, but your weapons, besides their power attack and light attack, also will get a light runic and heavy runic ability.
Yep.
And basically, if you're going to play the game like an absolute min-max pro, like Mike Dawson likes to play games, you're trying to get your uptime on those relic abilities to be as frequent as possible. So when I build out my armor, it's completely based on cooldown reduction and runic attack. That whole system, I think, glazes a lot of people over because the game, frankly, does a shit job of explaining the stat lines in the game. Runic, cooldown. If you do that, you will be a golden god. Do not worry about anything else. So the way that I play the game, and you get 3 weapons in total in God of War Ragnarok, is start with weapon 1, light runic, heavy runic, switch to weapon 2, light runic, heavy runic, switch to weapon 3, light runic, heavy runic, back to weapon 1. Smack, 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 repeat. That is the combat in this game. If you do that, you are unstoppable against anyone you face in this game. They will never be able to fucking touch you no matter who they are. All you have to do is just do the dodge out of the way when you see red, block when you see yellow, and make sure your shield has the shield break ability. So when you see blue, you double tap and it just fucking stuns them.
Yeah.
It's Guitar Hero is more complicated on easy than this game is with its combat. It's frightfully simple as long as you're not overwhelmed by what it's trying to tell you. Combat in God of War is fucking simple. For some people, they're not going to feel that way. I get that. You know, not everyone rolled through Demon Souls without dying to a boss a single time. I did. Not everyone rolled through Elden Ring playing a Unga Bunga build that took you 6 seconds from the time that you hit your button to actually get your swing through. I did. You know, this is the kind of player that I am. So when you lay out a combat system like this, I will break the fuck out of it. And I did.
Yeah.
And so the combat in this game feels very trivial to me and very easy. That's fine. It just makes some of the combat encounters in the game a complete drag where you're like, oh, how many more of these guys are going to throw at me? Because I'm just fucking annihilating all of them. I think I died 3 times in my playthrough, other than on bosses.
What difficulty were you playing?
Normal. Dude, I'm telling you, this game's not hard. So now the bosses, completely different story.
I was gonna say I could name a boss that killed
especially some of those side bosses that you just encounter like out in the wild.
The little fire pits where the lava guys come out.
I had this one fire pit guy in a Midgard that dropped me 10 times in a row before I got him. Every time I'm just like so close. I'm like, what the fuck? So no, there's difficult things in the game. And those things are fun. I love the boss fights in God of War Ragnarok. It's the mindless amounts of trash that you have to fight in the game that's just grating. That's the bad. That's all of the bad.
Okay.
That's all I didn't like. It's just the grating amount of nonsense you have to chew through to the game to get to the parts that actually count. The parts that count are very good. And a lot of this game is sort of an on-rails cinematic, would be a good way to put it.
Yep.
You know, you're either listening to banter as you walk through an area and throw an axe at a plant, but the commentary is interesting. The cutscenes in the game are very plentiful and very good, all of them.
Yes. Yep.
The amount of unexpected turns the game has is really kind of shocking that they had that many, and it's still stuck.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so many things like you can't discuss about this game.
Yep.
Beyond the first 5 minutes without it just probably ruining it for someone.
Yep.
Some of the anger displayed by characters, the raw emotion that you see, really unlike anything else I've seen in a game. The landing is stuck supremely well. This game has the gravitas of Endgame, Marvel's Endgame.
Yeah.
Which is one of the best movies ever made, fucking ever, that culminated like this huge thing and just was like the ultimate landing stick. And this executes on that level, especially the last mission where everything comes together. It's just, you know, a clinic in perfection in terms of storytelling, start to finish. And, you know, the irony is I thought the final boss fight, quote unquote, super underwhelming.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Super underwhelming. But the story around it was so good that it didn't really affect it that much.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I always like when, and after, you know, you reach the climax of a story, so slaying that end boss.
Yeah.
And I like it when a game doesn't just roll credits after that. Because what's interesting with God of War Ragnarok that it does really well, it kind of ends in a similar fashion to God of War 2018. But then what it doesn't tell you is there's a quest after everything's said and done and the music plays and everything. There's another quest that comes up, which is where the real ending is, which is super good and really well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, God of War Ragnarok makes up for where it lacks with story. And I think this is why the game resonates so hard with people emotionally is, you know, I think a lot of people kind of give it a pass where it's weak, because where it's strong, it's incredibly strong. I think it's unfortunate that Horizon came out when it did in the year last year. Because it really is, I can say definitively, if you put the two side by side and say which is the more complete game, it's Horizon. It absolutely is Horizon. You know, from the scale of the story, the scale of the world, if you want to look at it from a technical standpoint, from graphics, you know, it hits on all those same emotions that God of War Ragnarok does. And it has an even bigger ending and a bigger story, and it sticks the landing just as well. And it's a cream filling game. You know, it's not the end of the story. So it doesn't have that extra weight to it, to its advantage. And I would still say that end boss fight in Horizon and what's revealed afterwards is much more momentous than what we got in Ragnarok. And that might be my one final criticism of Ragnarok, is it does almost kind of feel like they were rushing to get out of that world of the Norse mythology.
Right.
Granted, I don't know how much more there would be to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if, there's more to talk about with Atreus.
Right.
It didn't seem so.
I don't think that story's done at all.
Is it one of those series? Because I didn't really like full disclosure, Kratos is it for me. Like, I want to be Kratos. And I didn't really love the sections of the game where you weren't Kratos. So, it's a 9. I really enjoyed it. I think it's very well done. I think it's a must-play game. I think it's better than the first God of War in this series, like, in every conceivable way.
Agreed.
It's fantastic. So,
yeah.
It's a solid 9 for me.
To touch on your comment of Horizon versus God of War, and I know you and I are on opposite polarities on this opinion. And I think I just want to kind of chime in on why I feel Ragnarok is a better game. And it is almost entirely story-based reasoning. I got emotionally teared up multiple times through my playthrough of God of War Ragnarok. That did not happen once in Horizon Forbidden West. Not one single time. And that's a lot. That carries weight for me. If a game brings me to like, ooh, fuck, man, God, ooh.
Well, it's got all those father-son moments.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tugs those heartstrings for real.
Yeah, because the game is mostly about Kratos not being a piece of shit human being, which he kind of is all throughout 2018 God of War still.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah, he learns a lot of very cliche lessons in Ragnarok. Those TV dad moments. It almost feels like you're watching a fucking sitcom with some of the shit that goes down between him and Atreus.
I wish I could remember the line. There was a line that Atreus said to Kratos, and it mirrored the exact same line that Kratos said to Atreus in the first one. I think it was "Be better."
Yeah, there was a lot of that shit going.
Like
Again, a very, very TV sitcom-y kind of tear jerky moments.
They stuck the landing though. They did.
Yeah, and those, I call that cheap emotional shots, to be honest, because
right.
they're easy ones to hit. Meanwhile, over in Horizons, like, here's the fucking wildest story that's ever been told ever.
I'd agree with you on the first one. The second one didn't really do much for me.
I loved it, especially when you
credits and went.
I can't
game.
spoil it yet, but the whole thing with Ted, just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got and we're gonna talk about this a little bit later. I've got the DLC to play, which apparently has huge ramifications in the story of the game.
I gotta play that too.
All right. So you might think I'm done, but oh no, we're not done yet. Dead Space remake. That's right. Upon completing God of War Ragnarok and not being able to sit and play nothing but Harvestella, I have so many fucking games, Johnny. Got Dead Space remake. I've got Resident Evil 4. I have the new Kirby game. I have Octopath Traveler 2. I have Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Houses. 3 Hopes, rather. 3 Houses I still need to play before I even fucking crack this one. And then they came out with Engage. So I've got Tactics Ogre Reborn. I've got so much shit I still need to play. I'm like, I just need to keep going. I might have to drop all these games into like story difficulty and just roll, because we got a lot of shit coming out that we're about to talk about. Dead Space remake looks fucking insane. I played through the first sequence, the famous first sequence where you do the crash landing.
Yes.
And
Yep.
you go into the room, and there's the fucking necromorphs, and the dude gets fucking ripped to shreds and everything. And I worked out to the first save point and was like, cool. This is awesome. And I have it set on normal right now, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, God, dude, I really need to get through these games now. I'm behind. So I might set it to fucking cruise mode and just blast through this thing. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm skipping that one only because I went back and beat that game last year, I think.
There are a ton of, and I've watched somebody play through this game already, which is kind of another reason why I might do that.
Right.
There's a ton of differences.
I know, and I do, and that's the thing. I do want to go back and play this.
Oh yeah, if you don't have time,
just rolled credits on the first.
If you don't
one.
have time, you don't have time.
I'm gonna wait till $20 on Steam sale next summer, and I'll say, "Oh fuck it, let's roll through this." But no, I'm probably not this year.
So no, it's absolutely gorgeous, and I mean, it's how your brain thinks it remembers Dead Space looking.
Yep.
But if you fire up a 360 copy of Dead Space, it's fucking fugly. So I'm gonna have fun with this one. That's what I'm gonna be working on next, primarily in my free time. So we'll see. Hopefully I can pull back some of my old habits and clear through that and start flying through some of these games before we get to some of these new releases. Speaking of which, it is the last episode of the month of April, which means it's time to discuss the games that come out in May. Sorry, it's time for the May release radar here on the Power Gamer Podcast. Now, before we talk about the games coming out in May, I do want to make note that this week, two big ones come out. So two games that we're very excited about. And remember, we only talk about the games coming out that we give a shit about. Otherwise, we would just never stop talking about trash. So we only talk about the games that we think are going to be good.
So true.
April 27th, The Last Case of Benedict Fox. Your new mystery-solving Metroidvania game that I can't wait to get my hands on.
I didn't even realize that comes out this week, too.
April 27th on Xbox and PC. And then, of course, Star Wars Jedi Survivor comes out the following day, April 28th, on PS5, Xbox, and PC.
Yes, Lord.
Those are this week. Now, moving into May. First up, Xbox exclusive game from the wonderful developers of fantastic games such as Dishonored and Deathloop. That's right. It's Redfall coming out on Xbox and PC May 2nd. With some strings attached. The big talking point is that for Xbox players, you are only going to be able to experience this game at 4K 30 frames per second on your Series X or 1440p 30 frames per second on your Series S. First person game. How the fuck does this happen from Arcane? I really don't know. They say that quality mode will only be available when the game releases on May 2nd. A 60 frames per second performance option is coming at an unspecified date.
Rough, dude. Rough.
And I mean, furthermore, this was a game where they just straight up canceled their PS5 version of it. Mm-hmm. And you remember Deathloop was a PS5 timed exclusive, but now that Microsoft owns Arcane,
yep.
Some fuckery going on. That being said, Redfall still looks like a highly entertaining game. It looks like it's going to be a blast to play with your friends. It also is confirmed that it has a fully fledged out version of the game that you can play completely by yourself. And Arcane really just makes awesome games. I mean, Deathloop was given a 10 by like fucking everyone.
Yeah.
And I love that game. I think that game's fucking brilliant. I don't think Redfall is going to hold a candle to Deathloop, but I think it looks like it's a lot of fun. It's going to fill that void that the lack of shit to do and like Back for Blood and Left 4 Dead, all those games. Dead Island 2 has kind of snuck in and taken their lunch money a little bit, I think, here pre their release, but certainly Redfall has a lot of hype behind it, being it's an Xbox exclusive game. Xbox mightily needed a win, but this frame rate thing is kind of an L already right out the gate.
I will not play a first-person shooter at 30 frames in 2023. It's not going to happen. Thankfully, I have a PC that I can play this game
PC
on.
does not have that issue, yeah.
But if I were Xbox only, it would literally be a skip for me. I can't, 30 frames in first-person shooters doesn't work for me. My youngest plays Overwatch for some reason on the Switch. We have it on both consoles. He plays it on the Switch, and every time I'm like, bro, just pick up the other controller. It doesn't look that much better, Dad. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, dude, enjoy your 30 frames a second, jank ass, fuzzy ass, shit ass looking Overwatch. Yeah, I'm not going to play a first person shooter at 30 frames. I am excited to check this game out.
I'll play it on PC with you. Again, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. But my big L for this game is the release date. How are you going to release this game 4 days after Jedi Survivor and 2 weeks before Zelda? That's a rough. This you know what this reminds me of? This makes me think of Battleborn. Remember when Battleborn came out? Gearbox was going to do their shooter / MOBA, and it came out and it was like a fart. It was over. I mean, they pulled the servers within a year.
Yeah.
I worry that this game is just going to get forgotten immediately because the frame rate is a big issue, and most of their players are going to be on console. And then on top of that, you play it for a week and go, yeah, it's okay, it's kind of slow, and then Tears of the Kingdom comes out.
Well, what's going to happen with Redfall is everyone's going to give it a weight card because of the frame rate thing. So it's like,
correct.
Just fucking delay the game.
I agree. Yeah, they should have just released it in July.
Just delay it.
And yeah, I think that's a.
But Xbox is so desperate to get something out. Because they're the absolute fucking worst at managing their first party IP. Here we go.
They are.
Here we go. That's why they need to buy Activision, which looks like it's going to go through. So,
does look like it's going to go through. Yeah.
Next up, May 12th, Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom comes out on Switch. Your boy already has his fully paid pre-order in. I'm ready for my Zelda artwork. I'm a little bit more excited for this game than I was a couple of weeks ago after the Nintendo
trailer got you, didn't it?
Direct thing. A lot of my comments still hold up because when I'm actually sitting watching someone play the game, right, my eyes don't lie to me. But it was nice to see a better put together trailer that we probably should have had a while ago, to be honest.
I agree.
Especially before that, here's what you can do on the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Direct gameplay reveal that they did. So we were discussing this a little bit before we went live, and I think the biggest takeaways are, besides the fanfare and the music, and which is stuff that Zelda needs to have. I mean, that's part of what gets us hyped for a Zelda game. Yes. Is it does look like there's a lot of spoken story in this game, a lot more than was present in Breath of the Wild. And that's actually kind of a turn for the whole series because Zelda games typically don't have that. It's not a lot of acted out and cutscenes. There was some of that in Breath of the Wild, and it was really cool when they did it. But I mean, even from just what they were showing in this trailer, it looks like there's just a tremendous amount of story related content. And the other thing that I like too in this trailer, Johnny, and I'll turn it over to you, is that they gave us a better visual of the overworld in this trailer, where you can really see how dense it is and how much more there is. So I do kind of like, from a standpoint of my criticism being that, well, they're just throwing it over top of the Breath of the Wild map, which they are, that it does look like there's a fairly dense layer above it more so than what was seen in that Nintendo Direct.
Well, and I also think one thing that I mentioned last time we talked about this, I compared it to the World of Warcraft expansion, where they took the original continents and ripped them upside down and put holes in the ground and rifts here and all these new places to explore. So even though, you know, the name on the map was the same and the city was still where the city was, a lot of it had been changed. A lot of what we've seen in these trailers, there are these giant malice holes that appear to be located where the shrines were, and we don't know what those are. Are they going to be dungeons? Are there going to be, you know, there's so much we don't know about this game, and I think that I think once it comes out, it's going to be revealed that they've done a lot more altering of the original map than I think some people, Mike Dawson included, are not giving them credit for. I think although yes, Death Mountain is going to be where Death Mountain was, and Kakariko Village is going to be where Kakariko Village is, I think there's going to be a lot of drastic map changes.
Yeah, so excited for this game to come out. Yeah, I mean everybody is. It's the most anticipated game of the past 2 years. So, that is the target date to have the backlog fucking tackled, May 12th. An interesting one I wanted to throw in here from the Amnesia series. There's a new Amnesia game coming out called Amnesia: The Bunker. Amnesia is a game best known for scaring the absolute fucking pants off of people.
Facts.
Amnesia: The Bunker takes that same formula, puts it into a semi-open world, and it's generated a different way every time you play the game. The trailers for it look very good, so I definitely wanted to give this one a bit of a shout out. Amnesia's never been the most focused on like graphical fidelity and things like that, so the base versions of it will actually work on Xbox One and PS4 that is being released on May 23rd. So if you have horror streamers that you like, you're definitely going to be seeing this game come up, as it no doubt is going to scare the absolute brains out of some people. So,
well, it's pretty amazing that in this vast ecosystem of thousands of horror games, there hasn't really been a lot of horror games with a lot of unscripted threats. You know, a lot of the games are, you know, when you go back and play it the second time, you're like, oh, here's the door that the guy's going to jump out. Here's the hallway where this happens. Yeah. And they're saying that this game has none of it. And the only other game that I could think of, and I spent some time thinking on it, was Alien Isolation. Because Alien Isolation, that xenomorph is after you, and it is an AI. It's gonna try to figure out. It's not scripted in any way. Sometimes it decides to hunt you, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's kind of what this game has going on. So I'm intrigued to see what they do here.
Yeah, Frictional Games, more or less has a winning record. They made Soma, in addition to the original Amnesia game. So, right, May 23rd, the new Amnesia game comes out. Next up. One that me and Johnny are both going to play. However,
we're going to hate play it.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I mean, I have the game is Lord of the Rings Gollum, comes out May 25th. And I'm very forgiving for shitty graphics and things. Well, I can be. You know, I'll always point them out like I did with Marvel's Midnight Suns. That was probably the most recent game where I was like, "Whoo, that's fugly." But there's good games underneath fugly. I just don't know that Gollum is going to be it, but I'm going to give the game a pass. You know, I'm hoping we're setting the bar kind of low. I'm hoping for like a 6.5, 7 here. You know what I mean? It's like if I get that, that's where I have my expectations set, and it's slightly better. Probably be happy. I mean, it's such a juxtaposition of ugly and beautiful, though. The scenery in the game, the background, the worlds that it takes place in look gorgeous. And then Gollum looks like your child designed him. You know what I mean? It's just...
He looks like a 10-year-old made a claymation doll.
It's weird, but I don't know. I'm into it. You know, there's so much weirdness around this. Like, Daedalic hasn't really. They're like, it's not a stealth game, but then when they showed the gameplay, like, it's definitely a stealth game. So, like, we really don't know what the fuck this game is, but it's Gollum, it's Lord of the Rings, it's May 25th. I'm in. I'm playing this game when it comes out. So, Johnny, what are your thoughts?
Wow. How the turntables have turned, Mike Dawson. You are normally the naysayer, but in this case, I will be the naysayer. I am like the biggest Lord of the Rings fucking fanatic. I have watched the extended editions. I'm not exaggerating, probably over 100 times. I will put Lord of the Rings on in the background while I do other things. I think it's the greatest movie trilogy of all time. I love the universe. And my problem with this game is my excitement meter has continued to go down and down and down. When I heard, oh my God, they're making a Gollum video game, and my mind starts going a mile a minute of all the different things that would make a Gollum game interesting. And then I saw the trailer and went, oh, this doesn't look like it's very good. But then me being the silver lining guy, I'm going, it's still Lord of the Rings. It's still Gollum. The game's still going to be awesome. Then I don't remember what website it was, but one of the video game websites that I frequent, they got a preview of the game, and they likened it to licensed titles of the early 2000s. They said that's what it reminded them of. They were like, it felt like I'm on rails and everything was just so obvious and just boring. And like, they literally had nothing nice to say about the game at all. And it made me think that this is probably going to be a 4 and not a 6. I would fucking love to be wrong. I would love this game to come out and all the critics go, holy shit, this is the best stealth game in fucking recent memory.
That's not going to happen.
I will go out.
That's not going to happen.
I will go out and buy it. But no, I think this game's going to be a pile of shit.
I just want it to be
an steamy pile of shit.
Want it to be an endearing pile of shit.
I don't even know if I can give it that. We'll see. Time will tell. We're going to know very, very soon.
Next up, System Shock Remake comes out at the end of May 30th. For those lovers of one of the most important PC games of all time.
Yep. Yes.
A fresh new version of it arrives May 30th. Sadly, just for PC.
Yeah.
I know it's going to come to PS5 and Xbox at a later date. I wish it was just coming all at once, but it begins May 30th on PC. System Shock. Johnny, I've never played System Shock, so this probably will be my first.
I can't wait for you to play it. Without System Shock, there would not have been a Half-Life, there would not have been a BioShock, there would not have been any of the RPG-esque first-person shooter games. This was really sort of the first, where you had a talent tree and you could choose to, like, I'm going to go more on the hacker thing, or I'm going to go more this direction, or I'm going to, and it's a game that doesn't hold your hand. It expects you to be smart. It expects you to figure shit out. And it's tough. It's brutal. It's also kind of a survival horror. There's a lot of like, okay, I have 2 bullets and there's 5 bad guys, so I'm going to have to take out some of these guys with my wrench. I played the demo of the remake and I am extremely excited about it. In fact, this game is on my fantasy draft for this year. That is how excited I am for this one. I think it's going to be very, very big. I mean, you're remaking one of the biggest like cult classic underground PC games of all time. I mean, you talk to anybody in my age group that played through PC games in that era, we all remember when System Shock came out and it was like an earthquake had gone off and we all went, holy fuck, first-person shooters are never, ever, ever going to be the same. And they weren't. I mean, this was the first game that really sort of did that.
Yeah, I hope to be able to tackle this day one. It's only $39 on Steam upon release, so
you will, Mike, you will fuck with this game so hard.
Looks very good. And I think PC is the right place to play it. So,
Yep, I agree.
all right. That wraps up our release radar for the month of May. Any other games that we didn't mention are complete trash and don't play them.
Except for Jedi Survivor in 4 days. But we
mentioned that. Yeah, that was in last month's release.
I know.
radar.
Sorry. I'm really excited.
Yeah. All right. It's time for one up. Got to make this quick. We're more verbose than I imagined. Johnny, do you DLC? Do you typically play DLC? My one up this week is DLC content, and that I almost never ever fucking play it. Do you play DLC? Is my question.
If the game is an 8.5 or higher, and the credits rolled, and I went, man, I could have played another fucking 20 hours of that. You know, like perfect example would be Witcher 3. Now, I when I bought that game, I was late to the party. I got the Game of the Year edition. It came with the DLC. But I can tell you, if I had played The Witcher Wild Hunt from day one and rolled credits, and then however many months later the expansion came out, yes, I would have bought it day one, no question. It really depends on the game.
What I hate about fucking DLC is I have to relearn how to play the game.
That's true.
Because like in the case of the Horizon one, it's been a fucking year, guys. It's been over a year since I beat that game. But I need to play it. So the last DLC that I played actually was Frozen Wilds from the first Horizon game. I typically do not DLC.
The most brutal DLC experience I've had, and this was recent, is the New Gods expansion for Doom Eternal. You better go back and play Doom Eternal and be like a fucking murderer at that game before you fire up that DLC. Because I beat the first one and then I didn't touch it for like a year, and then I was like, oh, the DLC, let me check this out. And I fire it up, and it is like, oh, you liked it on 10? Here's fucking 13. Like Doom Eternal New Gods. I beat Doom Eternal on hard. I fired up New Gods. I finally gave up and was like, fuck it, easy. I took it down to normal and was still getting my ass beat. I was like, all right, I give up. I'm just going to play it on easy so I can at least like play the fucking thing. Yeah, so I know exactly what you mean when DLC comes out and you're like, why is everything killing me? I don't know what's my buttons.
I just wish the DLC for games would come out within 6 months. You know, have that shit ready to go.
I'm enjoying the DLC on Midnight Suns. That shit's like pretty seamless. You just whenever I feel like playing the game again, I fire
perfect
it up
case in point.
It
came out right behind the real game, so it's like you never had a chance to forget how to play it. So anyway, that's my one up for the week is DLC content. Johnny, do you have a one up for us this week?
I do. My one up for this week. So we're ramping up. We're getting our garden ready. If you're watching on YouTube, this weird glowing light behind me is our little indoor greenhouse where we have all our seeds planted. I discovered a new website this time around that I will be going back to every year from this day forward. Rareseeds.com. They have all these old passed down through the generations strains and strands of different plants and produce and stuff like that, and they're really reasonable. Like, so one of the ones I read, I wanted tomatoes. I wanted big fat heirloom tomatoes, right? Like the real fleshy tomatoes, the kind you could just put on a sandwich with mayonnaise and call it a day. And they had a strand called the Abe Lincoln, and I'm reading the description, and this is a species of tomato that has been passed down through this family at this farm since Abe Lincoln was president. And that's why they call it the Abe Lincoln. It is that old. And they look like the biggest, meatiest, juiciest tomatoes ever. I'm like, done. How much are these? Oh, they're $5. Done. And then I'm scrolling through the rest of the tomatoes. There's another one I've never seen before where the bottom half of the tomato is yellow and the top half is purple. I'm like, that's never had that before. Let's do that. How much is that one? Oh, $4. So it's like you can go to Home Depot and buy the same $3 seeds that everyone buys. Or you can go to rareseeds.com and get some really crazy shit. I mean, they have like wild massive green beans and all kinds of like really anybody that wants to get into gardening. I was really impressed with this website. I think it's a smaller company too. They're kind of newer, but rareseeds.com. Very cool shit.
Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this week's episode of the Power Gamer Podcast. We will, of course, be back again next week with another great episode for you to enjoy. Until that time, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny Paulus.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip-flop.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys.